She's just buried in the
I
blankets.
see this.
Our one cat came up here and buried herself under a pile of blankets.
When you two are both on anything together, it's almost like a running joke now. Like, what is their pet's gonna do?
Yeah, I know. That's just how it is.
You would think we have a zoo.
I promise we do. I promise
We're
we
not
don't
going to
have
be
a
on an
zoo.
episode of Animal Hoarders.
Please no. I would get very worried. I'll plug it though on podcast. I'll be like, you can check out Neil on Animal Hoarders.
I swear.
Weekdays on A&E.
5-part series.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Sliders with Old Man Gaming, and you have, for some reason, decided to tune in to another Horrible Gaming Podcast, and we have hit episode 40. I'm very excited, and we've got a very special show for you. But before we get into that, with me, as always, is
Neil, a.k.a. a Tiny Wizard.
And before we get into the real crux of this very awesome show, we have a couple of disclaimers to go through. My kid's in the background watching a tablet because, school's canceled forever. So you're probably going to hear her. That's just part of the show. It's part of our ambiance of crappiness. Number two, well, there's no other disclaimers. The second disclaimer is I do terrible disclaimers. That's the second disclaimer. Credits we want to throw out to Mark Bell. He's done all of the awesome graphics. We've got a couple of new original graphics from him in this show, which is really exciting. We're pulling out all the stops in the show this week. So we've got musical transitions and more original graphics and all the stuff you guys have never said you cared about. But thank you to Mark for all of his original work. And then, of course, the theme song is written and performed by my brother Nicholas Van Sliders, so we shout him out for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Okay, so before we get into fan interaction, we've got we're having a very special show. Now, in the beginning, when the show first started, we would have our fans on, our biggest fans, our biggest commenters on certain shows. That's something we want to do and we wanted to go back to, but anybody who's been listening to the podcast faithfully knows that the last couple of months have been real rough for audio and logistics and everything else. But that ends today. We've got a fan on. Kayla, I don't know if you're okay with me saying your last name. Are you okay with me saying your last name?
Yeah, I don't see why.
I mean, it's come out before.
It's not like I haven't said it on like 3 different shows already and been yelled at by you guys. But
Fine.
Kayla Simpson's on the show. She is a heavy commenter. She's voted on many different horrible arenas, even in the moment. So Kayla, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you on.
Hi, I'm excited. This is fun.
Is this your first official podcast, if you can call it that?
Yeah, I've never done anything like this. I have water.
Just swallowed a whole ass frog.
Welcome, and the frog. So what kind of games do you like to play? Let's just talk to you for a second. What's your game? And I think I know the answer here, but what's your favorite game?
Well, of all time, it's definitely Sims.
Oh, man.
But pretty much anything RPG, narrative driven. I need like a good story to pull me in. I can't just do something because. Okay.
All right. I get that. Well, I don't get that. I like to just do things because, but still, that's cool. That's very cool. Well, we're happy to have you on the show, and we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that you're into, like EA. And one of the reasons I want to talk about the EA is you had pointed out that The Sims was doing some crazy stuff. that I don't know anything about. So, but we'll get into that later. But welcome to the show, Kayla. Welcome to A Horrible Gaming Podcast.
She now knows what I do when I lock myself up here in this room every Wednesday.
She's going to be like, I'm unimpressed. I have witnessed it, and I have found it wanting. Okay.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to fan interaction. And weirdly enough, we had our highest viewed episode last week, but yet nobody commented except Philbilly. And we're going to talk about that comment. And it's going to transition into me yelling at my co-host. Philbilly said, so now we all know Zach has some serious deep-seated internal issues, parentheses, regarding his Animal Crossing fears. Don't worry, brother. I'm looking into psychiatric help for you. Which, of course, he's referring to what I said about Animal Crossing last week, which my co-host totally hung me out to dry on. And then I said, I'm going to find a way to blame the crazy on the virus. What was that,
Look,
Neil? You just were silent. It made me look so much crazier. So much crazier.
Yeah, it did. But, like, I was so hard to think of something to say, anything to say. Like, me not saying anything because I was trying to think of something to make it better made it exponentially worse.
Oh my God. It was like awkward. It was like pulling teeth. Like, I listened back to it and I was like, I almost want to just because like right after we cut, I'm like, why did you hang me out to dry? And you're like, I'm so sorry. But like, I couldn't put that in the cold open because no one would have understood until they listened to that segment. But oh my God, I sounded crazy. Like I sounded like a crazy person.
What's even worse is, I don't know if anybody caught it, but I had actually said, oh, this again, whenever you started talking about it, because fun fact, this was the first time that we had a conversation regarding this.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, he'll have something to say, because we've already like had a back and forth about it, and then it was just silence, and I was like, oh no. Anybody out there listening thinks like Neil has gotten wide-eyed and is looking at the doors like, yeah, that's cool. And I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. I just want to marry a hippo. No. It got real weird. So with that's our fan interaction. We did ask the question, what's your never ever touch game? And I think the three of us should answer it. So what's your never ever touch game, Neil? The game that should just never be like, if it's remastered, if it's redone, it's only ever like remastered so it can be playable on new games. Nothing ever touched. Opposite of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, I think actually I'm going to throw this one over to Kayla because she and I are probably going to have pretty close to the same response.
All right.
I've just been informed I am incorrect. So I'll take
you a note. You could say it, Kayla.
She just mouthed it to me. So yeah. So
Anybody out there who hasn't figured it out yet, Neil and Kayla are husband and wife. I mean, I don't know how anyone would not know at this point, but just so you know, they're speaking psychically right now.
I mean, that's side note. We can kind of do that, and it's kind of weird. But yeah. So mine is going to be not just one game, but I'm going to say the Mass Effect trilogy. Never touch it. You can port it to next gen consoles, maybe zhuzh up the graphics a little bit, but outside of that, don't touch it. Don't do anything to it. Even the horrible ending of Mass Effect 3, it is what it is, and we just have to deal with it as such. Just do a Mass Effect collection, throw all the DLC from all the games in there, port it to this gen, and maybe the next gen too.
I thank you for using zhuzh it on the podcast. That gives us a level of class we just didn't have before.
Well, I guess I should pass it back over to Kayla now. Now that I made it all awkward.
Yeah.
What would you never touch?
I got confused because we literally talked about this.
And I thought you said Mass
week.
Effect 2.
No.
Wow.
I said Fable 2.
Fable 2. It
Ooh.
was a 2.
And mine was, I guess, mostly from an emotional standpoint because it was actually one of the first games I played when I got my 360. So that special bond with it. And this is like super sappy and stupid, but we had actually just started dating at the time and we were long distance. So that was like one of the ways we would talk to each other is he would jump into my game so that we could play and talk to each other. So just because my heart's attached to it, Fable 2, I never want touched.
That makes it so much worse that I forgot which one it is that you said.
You're welcome.
It does. It does. She really kind of called you out on that one. I think I want to echo that. I bought a 364 Fable 2, like 100%. That was the reason I got it. And like, I remember I was renting a room and I was working as a dishwasher and I didn't really have the money, but I kind of did. So I was like, I'm going to go buy one of the arcade 360s. The hard drive was so small. All I could put on it was Fable 2. So like, that's all I played. Like Fable 2 is so good. Absolutely brilliant game. Absolutely brilliant game.
Still good.
Yeah.
It is. It's still good. My never ever, this is a really tough one because I am kind of in the camp that like anything you presented to me that was like nostalgic, I would be like, yeah, I want to see that, but with new stuff. Like, yeah, give me an open world with that. Yeah, that'd be great. But I would actually probably have to say Mega Man 2.
Okay.
Or even the original like 1 through 4 or 5 Mega Man games. They're absolutely perfect. I don't want them touched. I don't want them up-res graphics. They are, in my opinion, they're the quintessential platformer. You know what? I'm taking all this back. I'm changing my answer. I'm sorry. It's Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Nobody should ever touch that. Ever.
Yes. 1,000 times yes.
I don't know why I didn't say that originally. Like I said the word platform in my head, and then like there was another voice that was like, "Hey, moron! Castlevania Symphony of the Night," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't even like Castlevania games. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is one of the greatest games ever made, ever. Like I don't even want them to up-res the graphics. Just leave it how it is, and just keep making it playable on any system. And I will continue to give Capcom money for it, or Konami, or whoever owns that thing."
Yeah, it's you bring that up too, and you and I actually just had a conversation about this last week in regards to Bloodstained and how it's like a spiritual successor and it's trying so hard, but it's just like it's so close, but there's those tiny distinctions that make it different, that make it a whole separate other game.
Right. Yeah, it truly is. And what's even weirder about it is I don't even think you can make a real sequel to that game. And they've tried, and I've never found them anywhere near as interesting as the original. I feel like that's how perfect that game is. It can't even be a franchise. It just is what it is, and it's never going to be better or worse than what it is, and it's just the best in its area.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of the fan interaction. Like I said, not a lot of comments this week, which is confusing since we had the most views we've ever had. But Horrible Arena must be decided. I personally think Kevin didn't say anything because he was torn between the two. That's what I'm thinking. But either way, he did not vote. We have nobody voting on either one of the Horrible Arenas. However, to make our fan feel truly uncomfortable, we're going to put her on the spot and make her vote for one of our remakes to decide the winner.
Mine was the Metroid 3 remake as a Metroid Prime.
No, it was Super Metroid.
Metroid 3, yeah. Super Metroid is Metroid 3.
Nobody calls it Metroid 3. They call it Super Metroid. What world are you living on where people have been calling it Metroid 3?
But that's what it is. Just like Metroid Fusion is Metroid 4.
You can't just make that up. It's Super Metroid. You can't just decide to count the games and use that as the title, you lunatic. That's lunatic behavior. I'm sorry to digress. That's the craziest thing you've ever said to me.
That's real.
It's not real. It's not called Metroid 3. It's called Super Metroid.
This is Metroid 3.
I feel like I'm on crazy pills right now. It doesn't have a 3 anywhere on the box. It doesn't have a 3 anywhere in the lore. It's Super Metroid.
I'm going to Google the shit out of this, and I'm just going to inundate you with wikis.
Oh, my God. You inundate me with wikis. The box says Super Metroid. I don't care what I've never heard it referred to as Metroid 3. That's the craziest thing you've ever said to me. You just decide to count games that don't have titles. You can't do that. You can't do that. Oh, my God. You should get disqualified just for that. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, boo.
Mine was Fable 1, the remake.
So it's going to be easy for me anyway.
Okay.
It's going to go to Fable.
Oh!
Yeah.
I was never into Metroid, so I could care less about a remake for that.
Yay! This has been a fun show already. I mean, and that's, you guys have to know she's being honest about that because she has to hang up and live with Neil.
She don't care. She'll tell me one way or another how is gonna be, and I'll like it. Damn it!
The first time she ever voted, she voted for one of my games. I've never been prouder. I've been like, yeah, I got my opponent's wife to vote for me. Woohoo!
That is true.
I must be doing something right. Okay, pause.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so our first topic of who knows how many topics today is we want to talk about EA. EA announced their, I don't know what they're calling it, maybe a state of play, or I can't remember what they actually call it. But they announced their big E3 type thing for June. Yeah, I want to hear what you guys think. What do you think we're going to see there? Do you think we're going to hear some delays? Do you think we're going to see anything announced for this year that they've been able to stay on track through the quarantine? What do you guys think?
I mean, I'm really thinking that we might get a little bit of information on what is happening with Anthem in general. Like, just like some sort of idea, like not even like an actual release date or like whatever. It's, if they do talk about it, I think they're going to give it like Anthem and give it like a surtitle, and we're going to see a little bit of what it is that they're going to be doing with it. I also think that we might see a little bit in regards to the next Dragon Age game, because I know they've been working on that for a while. And
yeah, but they had to restart it a bunch of times. Like, for everything I've heard says that we're not going to see that till like 2023 or 24.
Yeah, and they can't afford to rush through another major IP like that, like they did with Mass Effect Andromeda.
I know. I'm still the only person on the planet that likes that game.
My personal wish list is I would absolutely love for them to finally announce a Mass Effect trilogy coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and all the modern consoles. I think while we just kind of brought it up, I think that that's something that's been in the works for a while and it's been hinted to, and we thought we were going to get that announcement on N7 Day this year, but we in fact were supremely disappointed because they just threw N7 crap in Anthem and angered a lot of us, I believe.
Right, right. Because anybody who loves Mass Effect hates Anthem.
I think we might also see a DLC for Fallen Order, but yeah, I think that
they have announced a free DLC already with challenges. They're adding like time challenges. They're adding like some additional like cosmetic content. No story content though.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if they are just now, like they announced that a few days ago. I would be surprised if they're just now coming out with that and they're going to announce something new from that. But you could be right. If they're doing a story DLC, I really want to see, I think for Anthem, I know we've talked about it a lot on this podcast throughout the course of the episodes, because I'm somebody who really wants the game to be good, and it's not. I still play it every once in a while. Like, that's how much I really want this game. I want to go in and be like, yes, this is what I wanted. I think this is make or break for Anthem 2.0. The rumors about the Anthem 2.0 and all that, I think it's make or break. I think I'm very concerned that the virus made them shut that down totally and move on to other things. And because of that, because if they don't, that's not like a game that they can just kind of push to the side for a second, then come back to. That needs to be fixed now, or it's not ever going to be fixed. If that's not fixed by the time the new consoles come out, Anthem will be dead, in my opinion.
True. Very true.
So I think the state of play is make or break for Anthem. They need to show us 2.0, and it's going to be really rough because they got a big hill to climb on that. They've dug a real nasty hole for themselves on that. And if they really want to make that a thing, it's got to be front and center, and they've got to show us what we've been asking for since the beginning. And I don't know if I think it'll really show us whether we're gonna ever see that or not. I think if we see it on stage at this state of play, if we see it in that, okay, there's a chance. If we don't see it in that, sell your copies of Anthem. They're useless.
What about Kayla? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah. I was just about to do that.
Well, because really the only thing EA keeps putting out that I still enjoy is The Sims and like the whole Maxis community. And they actually already released another pack coming out for The Sims 4 that is like some sort of eco living expansion. So that's not what they're gonna announce, which was what I initially thought was going on.
Okay.
But their developers and their team had recently just been tweeting random letters out, and it was just like one letter per tweet, and it was all jumbled up and real weird. And so the whole community was just like trying to figure out what the scramble was. And it actually is an item in their build items in The Sims for a future cube, where if you put it in your game and ask it questions, it'll sometimes hint at things the developers are actually doing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun thing that they have. But so a lot of game changers were like asking it questions to see if we could figure out what was going on. And it doesn't hint at anything, but they keep really amping up EA Play, which is like not really usually a huge thing for The Sims. So I think we're either going to get just like a timeline of expansion packs coming out, or they're finally going to hint at Sims 5.
Ooh. Well, this would definitely be the time for that with the new generation coming out. And when did Sims 4 come out? Like, that's been a while, right?
Oh, yeah. Has it been 5 years now, I think?
Something along those lines.
So per development cycles, they could quite easily have a Sims 5 just about ready or done in the chamber. And that would be a heck of a way. That would be a great thing to put forward right now. I mean, you look at the success of Animal Crossing in the wake of everything that's going on. I think Sims, while my dislike of the game is well known and often lamented podcast lore, I think that game is great for the kind of situation we're in. So they might be pushing that a little bit forward. That would be that would be really interesting.
Yeah, and because they're at a point now, we already had a pack once, and they're just coming out with a new pack as well that is community driven. So it was based off a ton of polls and votes from people who actually play the game and what they want to see. And they actually released a poll not too long ago that was asking questions about things I just like could not see happening in Sims 4. So I'm really wondering if it was just to get like a feel of how they should go about Sims 5.
Well, I mean, that game has a huge following. Like, I mean, and EA has nothing going on, really. I mean, they've got the Respawn stuff, which is nice, but that's also kind of Respawn stuff. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't push that with all their might at the EA Play. I would be totally understanding if they did that, because that's got a huge following, and that could get them like, hey, this is what we got and this is what we do well. Let's push this forward.
Yeah, and to be honest, The Sims is the only reason I have like Origins still on my PC. So other than that, no ties to EA anymore because they pretty much botched everything I got excited about.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we can go into that. We can't go into that because we don't have enough time. It's the same here. Like, every time I get excited about an EA game, it's a real bummer. It's a real bummer. And what's even worse about it is they give you almost a good game. So it's like you could see how this would have been great, and then it's not. It's the same with Mass Effect Andromeda. There were some things about Mass Effect Andromeda, and I might get hate for this, I think they did better than the original 3 Mass Effects. But then there was just bugs, and there was only 2 alien races that you could like. It was just, there was plenty of things they did way better in my opinion, but like so much that was broken. It was the same thing with Anthem. Like, it's like, man, I can see how this would be great, and then it's just not. And I would be really scared about that. But Sims, I don't think they've ever botched Sims. I've never heard anything bad about any Sims game. So that might.
Was it SimCity? Was it? There was some sim game that used an always online DRM connection.
Oh,
was mandatory. Yeah, and it just wrecked the whole game, like from top to bottom. I remember it was a couple years ago when it happened, but yeah, it was a nightmare. Everybody was furious.
Well, even when the Sims 4 first came out, they had gotten rid of stuff that like past Sims is what everyone wanted. Like, they didn't have toddlers, they didn't have swimming pools. And luckily the developers actually listened to the community and eventually put it in an update. But when they first released it, it was real rough.
Well, that is the name of the game nowadays, is updates. Like, how much can we get away with updates?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that insight there, Kayla. And I think we have just about covered EA. I think if everybody's okay, we can move on.
Sure.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so our next topic, Games Pass Ultimate for PC. We got Games Pass on the console. Games Pass Ultimate came out, and that's how you do your Xbox gaming on PC. They're trying to cross-brand with that. However, Neil, our buddy, our top independent contractor for games on PC, I guess that's a new title. You can add that to your titles. Has tried Games Pass Ultimate, and tell us how you felt about it.
Well, we hadn't had Games Pass at all up until this point. And we finally decided to just jump on with it, bundle it together with Xbox Live. So now we have it on the Xbox, and I also had to get a new computer for school. So I now have a computer that's capable of running PC games, which is odd for me, I guess I would say. But it's my overarching feeling is about Games Pass for PC is it's definitely still in beta. So it's just like Game Pass for the Xbox in that you can go in, there's a list of games that you can download and play just off your computer, but there are some features that I know myself had a misunderstanding about, and I think others might have the same sort of misunderstanding as well. That they're just kind of lacking the things that were touted, or they don't function as they should just yet. So we have something like crossplay. They had said about how you can download the game for Game Pass for PC and that same game over on your Xbox, and your progression transitions between the two and everything like that. That is not necessarily the case. That mostly applies to first party stuff, but even still not in all cases. So the first game that I had downloaded and tried was Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, and I wanted to try that game out for a long time. So I downloaded it both on my Xbox and the PC. I started on PC and it ran fairly smooth, and got through maybe about an hour, hour and a half, saved, and then the next day went over onto Bloodstained for the Xbox, and lo and behold, I was confused when my save file was not there. So I did a little bit of looking, and I found out that you can't necessarily do that with some games. So then I had downloaded, I attempted to download Gears of War 5. My plan then was to try it with a big AAA title and also try and push my laptop to its limits, basically, technically. I first tried to download it on the PC. I could not get it to download for anything. I tried, and it would start to download, and then it would give me can't connect to the service errors. But then I would go to download a different game, and it would download that game just fine. So I didn't even finish getting through the install for that. But I also noticed that on Gears of War 5, they don't tout the cross-play feature or cross-save feature between the Xbox and the PC. However, they do for the listing for Gears of War 4. So maybe it's just...
That's super confusing.
Super confusing. I did manage to eventually download the Master Chief Collection. For PC, the Master Chief Collection is not out completely. They've only released so far Halo Reach and the original Halo Combat Evolved. The other ones are coming. We just got a release date for the Halo 2 anniversary coming to PC here soon. But I have also been playing through with Kayla on the Master Chief Collection now, playing through the various games. So it made no mention of cross-save anywhere on it. But again, just to try it, I jumped in on my computer and started playing Halo Reach.
Okay.
And it gave me a warning saying that my Halo Reach progression would be wiped if I start playing on the PC.
What? So you can't even have two different saves. So like not only does it not cross, but if you play on the PC, it gets rid of the original save file?
Yes.
How does it even... That's crazy. That's crazy stupid.
Yeah, and it doesn't really make much sense to me, but it's an all or nothing sort of situation from what it seems like with the cross save. It's you have to think of the game literally as a service in that instance, that you are logging onto the game. It's just like if you were to log on to somebody's Netflix somewhere, you were watching a movie somewhere on somebody else's Netflix. And if you restart that movie, then that movie starts over for that individual too. It's the same sort of idea. And that's a weird headspace to get wrapped around when pretty much us gamers who have been around for a long, long time have the notion of a save file, a singular thing that's kept separate from the game.
Right, right.
So, I mean, that's kind of like the negative sides of it. I will say, though, like, there is a vast difference playing the game with the enhancements, for sure, on PC. So we have an Xbox One S, and our Xbox One S runs games totally fine.
Okay.
But it's not the X, obviously.
Right.
I can go in and apply the Xbox One X enhancements, essentially, graphical stuff, to the games that I'm playing. And I will tell you, Halo Reach with the X enhancements is bananas. it looks like a totally different game. It looks like it just got put out for the Xbox One and not the 360.
So that's the upside right there then.
That's the upside. It's phenomenal. Unfortunately, the display in my laptop is not fast enough to run all games hyper fast. It'll put out at 60 frames, and it claims that it's running at 60 frames, but I don't see that reflected in my display. The display on my laptop is just an LCD, not an LED, which is strange, I think, given this day and age with the technology where we're at, but it does just fine otherwise. I do want to try to connect my laptop to the TV to see, like, really, really put it through its paces. But graphical enhancements on PC games makes them look totally different.
Well, that's awesome.
The ability to take these games anywhere, if school were open right now, I would be able to go campus between classes, or dare I say even in the middle of class if I was bored, and just throw on whatever and play whatever. Game Pass in general, it's nice. It's a good service. I'm not that big of a fan of the fact that things get taken out of rotation occasionally or eventually, but then they give you to buy it and everything. But
yeah,
I mean,
I don't hate it, because I feel like that's kind of how some people make some money. You know what I mean? Like, they get you hooked, and then you have to purchase it if you love it. You know?
Yeah, but I think Game Pass needs to be broken down into two separate segments. Obviously, you have to evaluate the Xbox Game Pass and the PC Game Pass as two totally different entities.
Yeah.
And from what I understand too, the somewhere I believe I had heard that the Project X Cloud is going to be integrated into Games Pass somehow, be it for the PC or the actual Xbox.
Yeah.
So I think that these are great services, but if somebody were to jump in and be like, I want Game Pass for PC, I feel like they should probably do a little bit of research on it first, just to make sure they get exactly what it is that they want out of it. Because if somebody were to sign up for strictly on the PC for Game Pass, I feel like they might be a little bit disappointed in the current state that it's in. Again, It's in beta. It's being expanded and built upon, and eventually it'll have a full release. But until then, I think it still needs a little bit of work.
Well, thank you. I think that those are all well thought out things. I will also say I don't love the fact that all the deep discounts right now and have been Games Pass Ultimate since it came out, because I don't want to play on my PC. I want to play on console, and I get my games for gold cheaper by getting 12-month subscriptions to Groupon than I would if I bundled it into a monthly subscription. So there's no value for me in the Games Pass Ultimate, but yet all of the start for $1 for the first month, all of those like cool discounts that they've got going on, that's been for Ultimate forever now, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think that just about covers it. Thanks for your insight on that. That's all good stuff to know.
Absolutely.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right. So I know we've got a lot of topics going so far, but we're trying to get through a lot, and a lot happened this week. So, and is going to happen. Unfortunately, we record this show Wednesday morning. So we are recording it the day before the next Xbox Inside, and this is a big one, which is kind of why I want to talk about it. Microsoft has recently said this whole 20 for 20 release thing, where all their Inside Xboxes will have like big announcements leading up to the release of their new system. And they've been kind of hyping it on Twitter quite a bit, as well as in other places. And they've been saying that this Inside Xbox, this May 7th one, was a very important one for a while. So what's our predictions? What do you think they're going to say tomorrow? What do we think they're going? Are we going to hear about Xbox One X? Are we going to hear about the price? Are we going to hear about Xbox, the Xbox Series X, Series S? Are we going to hear about just games? Like, what do you think? What do you think they're going to say? We'll go to Neil first, then Kayla, and then I'll I'll bring up the caboose.
I just want to, before I get into it, let you know that Kayla and I were silently arguing over who was going to go first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
No.
to settle that. Who wants to go first?
It was a great exchange. It was a fantastic exchange that happened. But I guess I'll start, and then I'll loft the ball over to her. So I'm thinking with this tomorrow, I've seen that they've already set a date for another one, like further out, already covered, kind of said what they're going to cover on the next one. The fact that they're going to go into Halo Infinite, and I believe that they might go into the rumored Lockhart console.
Okay.
I think that was a bad move because telling people what you're not going to do is a great way to kill hype.
Yep.
I know they've already said that they're going to show some of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay footage.
Which
so
I could not care less about that game, but go ahead.
I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat, but it does at the same time look interesting. They always all look interesting.
Yeah, they do.
It's just,
I played Odyssey and it was buggy as crap. And I didn't get it until a year after its release. And it's this annualized or semi-annualized schedule they're on. And also, man, drop the Assassin's Creed stuff. Just make open world games. I'm so sick of them trying to tie it into this ridiculous future war that they've got going on that it just kills the games for me. But I'm sorry, that's a tangent. Continue.
No, you're good. I think that it's not going to be as super crazy as we might be expecting.
Okay.
I think they might drop a little bit more nuggets in the way of the actual Series X console. Nothing major. I mean, they've already teased the boot up screen for it. So, I mean, there's that. But sort of teases like that don't really do anything for me. I don't really care. Like, that wasn't chomping at the bit to know what the booting looked like for a console.
Or the logo, when they did the reveal for the logo, yay?
Like it's some massive thing. It's very Apple reminiscent in regards to that. But
yeah.
I think that we might see more from the Hellblade sequel. I think another teaser for that. I hope and pray every time we have an Xbox event, screaming from the rooftops something for Fable 4. For shit's sake, please. We know it's happening. We've had too many leaks and rumors for it to be not happening. Please just say in plain English, yes, we are making Fable 4. Give us a logo, because apparently that's what you guys like to do. Just give us a logo. Like something. I
still think that's a release game.
I really think that it might be too. I hope it's not. I really hope it's not. At least cross-gen, but I think we're gonna hear some more about another racing game of some sort, because
we'll definitely hear about a racing game. We always hear about racing games from Xbox.
It's whatever.
I mean, in fairness, they're very popular games. Aside from I love Forza Horizon, and I don't even like racing games. They make the studio, and I completely blanking on the name of them, make really good racing games. The Forza Studios make the best racing games in the world, in my opinion. And I've played Gran Turismo. I think Forza's better. I really do. So, I mean, while it's not something that's going to get either one of our ires really going, it's a big deal. I mean, and if there's any game that Phil Billy plays other than Borderlands and Monster Hunter, it's Forza.
Yeah, I can see it for sure.
Okay, I'm sorry. Finish.
I was just going to close off with, it's just I think my general overarching prediction for tomorrow is going to be one of general disappointment, I think, strictly because they've already come out and said, hey, the stuff that you really are looking forward to is not going to be here. And with the virus in general, everybody's working from home. Everybody, like, progress on games has already been stunted. And Spencer's already said that the console's well on its way to coming out on time, but he can't speak for the games, which he's,
Right.
able to. But I think it's going to be, this one is going to be maybe the less received appetizer toward the main course that we'll be getting next month.
Okay. What do you think, Kayla?
I will die of happiness if they even just like nod to the fact that Fable 4 is being worked on. That's all I want. I will be satisfied. That's all I care about. I don't think though that we're gonna get anything brand new out of this.
Okay.
Just because where we are right now with everything going on, I don't think they want to talk about price points. So I don't think we're getting a price because no one wants to hear about money right now. It's something that's stressing everyone out. So I think if they release the price points on anything, it's not going to be well received.
Okay.
So I think if anything, we're just going to get like more look into like Cyberpunk or some sort of announcement on Anthem. I just don't see anything new coming from this though.
I would love to see like a full like trailer about how you can edit genitals in Cyberpunk, which is the story that just broke this morning. I don't know if you guys have gotten to see it yet, but you can edit your character's genitals. And I'm like, yeah, let's just see a trailer on that. Like we've seen everything else from Cyberpunk. Let's just see. I want to see that genital creation system.
I already spent way too long character creations. Like that's just a whole new level now. I have to think about these things.
I'm gonna tattoo my dick with a fire hose.
Can I make it is there a shower, not a grower situation? Can I set that setting somewhere? Like do you get to decide how big it is in certain situations? Oh, we're going off the rails now. In any case, yeah, I'd love to see. I totally interrupted you. Go ahead. I did it again.
Oh, no. Mostly my points because Neil pretty much touched on everything else I was going to talk about.
I know it's the one. It's Kayla. It's the one downside of having him start a segment is he's gonna cover everything. Like just he's gonna use all the words before you get to them.
He's just too well thought out.
How dare I?
All right. Well, you guys have definitely hit the nail on the head for me. I think, before this whole 2020 thing that they started doing in the last couple of days, I was dead set they're going to give us a price. And I will disagree with Kayla on one thing. I do agree that money is stressing people out, but I think for that reason, we need to hear the price sooner rather than later, because I think that unknown is making it even worse, at least for me. I'm way more anxious about not knowing the price than if I knew it and just I could say, I'm too poor to get that, or I can get that. So I definitely want to hear the price. However, that difference aside, I think if this was going to be the big one and we were going to hear the price and we were going to hear about system stuff, they wouldn't have unveiled this whole hype train about all these future shows. You know what I mean? Like it's to Neil's point where it's like, because you're hyping all these future shows, it kind of makes you feel like this one isn't going to be that big. Like they're almost trying to like soften the blow that they're not going to talk about the price here, which is a little irritating to me. I think we're ready for the price. I want to know what the price is. I know the situation is not great, but that's why I want to know. I want to know what it is so that I know if I can put money aside, I know I can get it. Like, I don't want to be finding out about the price of this game a month before of this system, a month before it comes out. Like, I just don't want to be in that position. I feel like if these two companies keep doing this, like, Mexican standoff with each other on the price, that's what's going to happen. And I don't want that. But Fable 4, or just Fable, just give us Fable, especially since I think it's a release game. I think it's coming out with this system. in like September or November or whenever this system comes out. So just show it to us. We're close enough. We're close enough to get hyped. And it will be like one of the 1-2 punches. Like at that point, no one's going to care about the price. No one's going to care that you're only going to show games at this. And I agree with you guys. I think they're only showing games. I think you show that one now, and that's your opener to make it look like they have to do something big at this one, because they've been unveiling this whole 2020, like every inside's going to be big until then. You have to make the first one big. It's got to be big, or nobody's going to take you seriously from that point on.
Yeah, and you know what? You brought up the point about the price, because you're wondering what it's going to wind up being. It almost makes me think that you're going to be buying me a dinner, and here's why.
It's not happening. It's not happening. I'm telling you.
Okay,
Sorry, I
so
started to leave the room, and I heard what you were saying. It's not happening. There's no way this system is above $550. I'm sticking to that. There's no way. They're gonna undercut Sony. They have the money. They're gonna try everything they can to take this console generation away from them. Sony's gonna come out with a limited edition, especially if it's at 500, and the Series X is at. I'm sorry, if it's at 500 or 550 and the Series X is at 500 and not limited, it's going to blow them out of the water.
So here's the only point that I have to make about that. If it were strictly a single system and a single system coming out from each of these manufacturers, that'd be great. Totally 100%. But the issue is the fact that we have this rumored Lockhart that they haven't come out and said is not a thing. So if you're going to have Microsoft releasing 2 editions of a next generation console, one of them being the cheaper one, if that cheaper one is the specs of the PS5 as it is now for less money, the Series X is definitely going to be more. They can get away with making it more.
There is no world in which the Series, the Lockhart, whatever this is, discless thing, is going to be the specs of the PlayStation 5. And I would agree with you if I thought there was any possibility that was true. I think the Series S will replace the One X, not anything else. It's going to be like a half generation between the two. And then you're going to have the high-end console be comparable to the PlayStation 5, and it's going to blow it out of the water. I don't think that Lockhart is going to get anywhere near. And the rumors are that the Lockhart isn't even that much more powerful than the One X.
Yeah, it could. I mean, it goes back to this whole idea of like, just because now I'm so vested in what the and specs are going to be, because this has been going on now for between you and I for what, like 3-4 months at least.
Right.
I just need to know what happens.
Yeah. I feel like we've been watching like a fight, like a boxing match where the 2 fighters came out and just started punching each other for the first 2 rounds really hard, and now they're just circling, and they've been circling for like round 3, 4, 5. Somebody has to finish it. And like that's it's a big problem for me. Like, I want to know the price. I want to get it out there because I want to know what I've got to deal with more now than ever. I want to know what this thing is going to be, what these things are going to be, so that we can start talking about what we're getting and what we're going to do. I don't think it's right to spring it on people like a month or 2 before the console comes out. I don't want to hear a price in August. I don't want to hear, it's too late. I want the price. And I think both companies are past the point where they should have announced the price. I think PlayStation 5 probably would have announced the price if they weren't as hit by this whole thing as they have been. And I think Xbox is purposely not talking about the price because PlayStation hasn't released it, which is, I think, a mistake. I do think a mistake, you know?
I just think that if we don't hear a price tomorrow, that it's going to be more than 500, because I don't think that they would talk about a price that's more than 500 right now.
But at the same time too, I would also say, like, you had mentioned about how much it's going to cost and what you need to know, what you're going to end up spending. I mean, they also cannot wait forever too, 100%. While it's not going to be right now, tomorrow, because tomorrow's definitely already, they've taken the air out of that already.
Yeah, I don't think that's a price at all.
One next month will probably be the one where they announce the price, but even like a $400 console, I mean, that's just an extra $100, sure, but like, people can't just not very many people have an extra $400 just laying around.
Well, and I definitely don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Like, that wasn't the point. I think Kayla's 100% right on that. Like, people are really stressed about money, and that's going to make things rough for them. But my thing is like, I don't want them sitting there like, well, we don't want to talk about money because everybody's having a problem with money. Like, I'm like, no, tell me how much it is, because I'm having a problem with money and I need to know if I can afford it. On top of that, you got to buy a 4K TV with this. I'm looking at $1,000 upgrade, depending on how much this console is. I need to know how much it is so that I know if I have the money to spend when the time comes. And if I don't, I have enough time to put it aside. I think that's a big thing too. Like, the longer, like, every day you don't tell people what the price is another day people are not saving to buy your system.
Right.
And because they don't know what the price is. And while that's a little short-sighted on the people's side, people can be short-sighted. I know that I'm not specifically saving for this system. My wife actually, more than anything, was like, we should just put some money aside when we got tax return, but we still don't know how much the system's going to be. We don't have any idea. So like, I feel like every day you don't tell us how much it is another day that people are not going to be prepared to buy it, regardless of the situation around it.
Right.
In any case, I think we've covered everything. Does anybody have anything to add to this before me and Neil step into the arena?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Okay.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, that brings us to the main event, the thing all of you guys have been waiting for, the Horrible Arena. In the Horrible Arena, every co-host steps in. They get to pitch a game. They get to pitch the developer, the title, and the pitch, like what the game is, and they pitch it to you guys, the audience. Then you guys get to go on all the different social media platforms, comment in the comments below, and decide who wins, who's going to get your hard-earned money with their game pitch. And the game, of course, is pitched not just willy-nilly, but based on pre-existing criteria. Well, since we decided to have a guest this week, since we've got one of our super fans, Kayla, on, we decided to turn it over to her. She got to pick the criteria for which the game that we will be pitching. So, Kayla, what's the criteria? What are we pitching on?
So this week's criteria is going to be VR games.
I think that's an interesting one. That's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I had a really hard time thinking on this one. I don't know. Neil, did you have a hard time thinking of one?
No.
No. Okay. Well, let me flip the quantum coin here. That's what a quantum coin sounds like. I know it doesn't sound anything like a normal flipping coin, but and it looks like Neil will be going first since he's so freaking sure of his. So hit us, Neil. What's your game? And remember, I won't say anything until you say, and I'm done, or at least I'll try not to.
Okay. All right. So my pitch for a VR game, it's going to be done by Ubisoft. And it is going to be not necessarily so much like a full-on game, but more so a tool for education. See, in the Assassin's Creed games, they actually have started implementing modes where it's almost like a museum that you can go through and actually like learn real historical facts and information. So I think Ubisoft would be pretty well suited to make a VR game that it almost teaches history, because they've already got that experience with the Assassin's Creed games as well. They already have to do crazy research for those. this game would be, the levels per se would be periods in history, and you would go through, and each level or section or mission would be a major historical event that happened, in which you took the control of either like an actual historical figure or someone involved in something in history. So for like World War I, World War II, you would be just a soldier going through and learning about, like, actually, like, say maybe delivering mail that has come through for the different soldiers. You would pass that off, and these pieces of mail would have the information, like, sometimes, so and so or this person would have problems with this, or like learning about people involved in the war, actual historic figureheads. Or you could have another period of time where you could take control of like a famous explorer pioneering the country, laying out the lay of the land and everything. And through that, you could have these little objectives that you have to complete and gamify it, but also keep it within the realm of possibility currently in VR as it is right now. And you would be learning something this entire time. I think it would be very interesting to have almost like a VR history game. And I think I would call this Project Chronology. And that would be it.
All right. Interesting. I like how you kind of went non-combat on it. I did the same with mine.
That's just where VR is right now.
What was your project name? I missed that.
It's Project Chronology.
Okay, so for my pitch, Project Dewdrop. The creator is Nintendo. I'm probably going to get backlash for this, but I just could not come up with somebody on a high enough scale to do what I want to do. I would much rather pick the developer of Stardew Valley, but there's no way that guy's ever making VR games. So what's the game? I really sat down and thought about VR to do this pitch. I have a problem with VR. I get motion sickness in 3D movies. I'm sure VR will be the same. And I think that's a big problem with VR as a whole, is you can only play it for a certain amount of time because the motion sickness gets to you. And I think combat games, as much as you want to see them, as much as you want that to be there, the frame rates aren't high enough to keep you from getting that motion sickness. You can only really play them so long. So while I thought of a bunch of combat games, I ended up settling that combat wouldn't be the way to go because I would be trying to build the killer app for VR. So in my opinion, it is a farming simulator. I would have you create, you would just go into this world and you would be able to craft your house. You would be able to plant seeds. You would be able to watch them grow. It would be in kind of like a real time, kind of similar to Animal Crossing, but not Animal Crossing. I want this to be more of a human story. I want it to be more like Stardew Valley in VR. I want you to be able to meet townsfolk and trade. I want it to have a good commerce there. I want it to, you'd be able to get married, to have that kind of virtual world. I think that would be really interesting. I think VR would really benefit from it. And I think the people who get really into these games, these crafting simulators like Minecraft, Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, these kind of games, I think this will just hit them home, and it'll be even more cooler because you'll be immersed in it. Plus, you won't have those high frame combat situations that's going to make you sick. You could spend hours in it, just like peacefully being in your area, like planting. It'd just be kind of like a meditative situation. It's kind of like everything Animal Crossing is for me right now, but in VR. So that's my Project Dewdrop. Hopefully everybody likes it. And then we turn it over to the fans, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. You've got the two pitches, two great VR games. Which one would you guys give your hard-earned money to if you had a VR system and you had the money to give? With that being said, that brings us to the close of the show. Kayla, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Nope.
Well, we do want to thank you a lot for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Well, we'll definitely have you back. We try and have all our fans back. So thank you very much for coming on, and we had a lot of fun with you. I do want to just turn it over and say one thing now to anybody who's listened this far and anybody who's watching the channel. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's clicked that subscribe button or clicked the view button or watched any of our stuff and chosen us. This last month, we have had 60 subscribers sign on to the channel, which might seem like a drop in the bucket to other channels. It's huge to us. We are 4 away from 200 subscribers. Our viewer count is up by 151%. Our watch time is up by 192%. It's just huge for us, and you guys out there make it possible. And I know I'm going late to say this, but every time you guys do that, you give us a chance to do kind of a dream of ours. So thank you for choosing us. So Neil, do you got anything to plug before I go into that shameless self-promotion?
You know what? No, I actually was gonna say pretty close to what you just said. Just get the word out there, share with your friends, share with your enemies, maybe, who might like the same things as you. Anyway.
I mean, some of our stuff's pretty bad. Maybe share with your enemies just to piss them off, like if you know they'll hate it.
Rage like, who knows?
Right. All right. Well, you guys can check us out on Facebook at Old Man Gaming DH, on Twitch at Old Man Gaming 9. Of course, you could join our Discord. The link will be in the description below. And please do, because you can influence almost every one of our shows from there, from voting on the Horrible Arena to deciding what games I review, to anything and everything else you can think of. And as usual, as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we will keep making this. We'll see you guys next week.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.